Yellowstone National Park was the first national park in the United States. It was created because of its many wonders, like geysers, hot springs, and wildlife.
But before this park was made, there was conflict about what the area should become. Some people wanted to use the park for hunting, and others wanted to keep it for themselves for purposes of land use and amusement areas.
The legend began after John Colter left the Lewis and Clark expedition in 1807 to join several other fur trappers to go to an area known by the French trappers as Roche-Juan and Pierre-Juan to the natives. After being chased by the Blackfeet tribe, Colter claimed to have found a place of fire and brimstone. Being a teller of lies, the civilization he returned to did not believe him and nicknamed the place Colter's Hell.
Later on, other trappers and mountain men told of loud noises from the ground, hot springs and geysers, along with what was believed to be a volcano because of traces of brimstone. These people were thought of as liars, and those stories were dismissed as tall tales or extremely exaggerated truths.
Privately funded explorers soon began to scout the area in the mid-1850s. They told of the same wonders as the mountain men, and it became popular with the public, known as the wonders at the headwaters of the Yellowstone River and the Great Geyser Basin. The government began to create exploring parties to find a good amount of knowledge about the Yellowstone region.
Most of the parties did not manage to enter the Yellowstone region. This was because the winters were harsh and Yellowstone is surrounded by mountains on all sides except for the north. In 1859, the first attempt at entering Yellowstone was made and led by William F. Reynolds. They tried to enter through the Wind River Mountains, and according to the Cecil Whig, the expedition was rendered abortive by reason of the depth of the snow and the ruggedness of the mountains.
The first successful party to enter Yellowstone was the Folsom Party. It was led by David E. Folsom, and they explored primarily along the Yellowstone River. In his notes, Folsom mainly described what Yellowstone contained, like a vast number of sulfur hot springs and some of the other formations in Yellowstone. The Folsom Party explored Yellowstone in 1869.
The next successful party to enter Yellowstone was the Washburn Party, led by General Henry Dana Washburn. Exploring in 1870, the party was inspired by the journals of Folsom and C.W. Cook, a worker on Folsom's ranch and a member of his party. General Washburn and the members of his party also told of Yellowstone's wonders, almost completely confirming what was first told by the mountain men exploring the area.
Eventually, the news from the people going into the headwaters of Yellowstone aroused great interest in scientists. One especially successful geologist, Ferdinand Vanderveer Hayden, was chosen to lead an expedition funded by the United States government and the Smithsonian Institution. This became known as the Hayden Geological Survey of 1871.
Hayden received a letter stating that he was to begin the expedition on July 1st, 1871, with $40,000 being permitted to select your own assistants who will be entirely subject to your orders. Hayden chose his assistant to be Managing Director James Stevenson. He originally began the expedition with the following people: Henry W. Elliott, an artist; Professor Cyrus Thomas, an agricultural statistician and entomologist; Anton Schonberg and A.J. Smith, both were topographers; George B. Dixon, an assistant photographer; J.W. Beeman, a meteorologist; and Professor J.N. Allen, a botanist. Robert Adams Jr., an assistant botanist; Dr. Charles S. Turnbull, a physician and general assistant; Campbell Carrington, a zoologist; William B. Logan, a secretary; F. J. Hughes, Chester M. Dawes, D. Dev Negley, and J. W. Duncan, all of which were general assistants.
Thomas Moran, an artist, requested to be part of the survey and was allowed to join. Hayden also brought along William Henry Jackson, a photographer. The party explored almost all of the region, making maps of the hot springs, geysers, mud pots, cliffs, waterfalls, and the other geographic areas and wonders of Yellowstone. Because they brought several photographers, there were many pictures and paintings of Yellowstone's greatness. They returned to civilization with complete confirmation of the wondrous area and the headwaters of the Yellowstone River.
Sadly, though, a majority of the paintings and pictures they took were lost because when they traveled back to civilization, they passed through Chicago during the time of the Great Chicago Fire. Only a few of the photos remain today as to what there once was.
By that point, the tall tales had been proven to be true, but what to do with this place? Several people wanted to use it for themselves, like keeping it as a private resort. Others wanted to make people pay to enter the park and keep all of the money for themselves. At one point, several people wanted to preserve it forever as a national park. Cornelius Hedges, a writer and lawyer from Montana, wrote entries in 1871 for the Helena Herald about preserving the area. Thomas Francis Meagher, a governor of the Montana Territory, also said that the area should be protected. In a letter from Jay Cooke to Ferdinand Hayden, Jay Cooke suggested a law of protection for the area, stating, "Congress pass a bill reserving the Great Geyser Basin, Yellowstone, as a public park forever." Others supported this idea as well. Several entrepreneurs, miners, and other businessmen, though, were worried about the park ruining the local economy in things like hunting and fishing. Thing like that did not last long, though, as people became more convinced.
One of the most important people who helped to preserve Yellowstone was geologist Ferdinand Hayden. After Hayden sent a report about Yellowstone to the government withdrew the Yellowstone area from auction to the public, as it was going to be sold to citizens. Hayden also supported the idea of preserving Yellowstone as a public land and sent a letter to Congress stating that it should be setting aside the area as a pleasure ground for the benefit and enjoyment of the people, and also told that if Congress did not, the vandals who were now waiting to enter this wonderland will in a single season despoil beyond recovery these remarkable curiosities that have required all the cunning skill of nature thousands of years to prepare. While others would make merchandise of these beautiful specimens, he declared that it should be as free as the air or water.
Along with pictures and paintings from artists and photographers, Congress was convinced to protect Yellowstone from private development and preserve it for public pleasure forever. The act of dedication was signed by President Ulysses S. Grant on March 1, 1872. The U.S. Army was assigned to care for and maintain the park until the National Park Service was created in mid-1916. Ferdinand Hayden, Cornelius Hedges, and everyone else who wanted to preserve the Yellowstone area took a stand against the people who lived near and in that area, who also depended on the area for their livelihood. The people who supported Yellowstone convinced Congress that the area was worth preserving and protecting for future generations of enjoyment.
Yellowstone, the first of many amazing national parks in the United States, preserved many wonders inside its boundaries, but also started something that preserved and protected many other wonders of our country that have and always will be there for everyone to see and enjoy.